Hello, y'all. I'm reading the world's longest work of fiction. It's called The Subspace Emissaries World's Conquest. So I'll narrate this whole thing. It's one of the longest works of fiction in all time. Chapter 1, Starter Disc, New Game. It had been a long battle for survival, but he managed to stop the imbeciles from defeating him for real. Taboo, though, had been weakened during the battle, as he floated along in the void of the subspace surrounded by darkness and swirling purple and blue colors. He reflected on the disastrous end of the battle. Master Hand had shown up right before Taboo could terminate the big group of smashers. As a last-ditch attempt, the omnipotent Hand used his space-bending powers to recall each one of the smashers to their worlds, back into the past before they participated in the brawl tourney and the war against the subspace army. He then called Crazy Hand, and both of them escaped from Taboo's clutches, effectually putting a sudden end to the conflict for the time being. Unfortunately, not everything was right. Master Hand couldn't manage to save certain smashers. Roy, Pichu, and Mewtwo had been killed by Taboo in the ensuing battle. Furthermore, Rob seemingly betrayed them all by siding back with Taboo. It became a huge disaster once Mr. Game & Watch had been caught once more. There was more. An unlucky smasher was captured as well in his trophy-fied state. Master Hand didn't manage to save that one smasher. Much to his chagrin, Taboo kept him as a prize, but he would use his unrequited help very soon. Taboo grunted. It felt like an empty victory because the Smash Force, but he could at least relax and recover his power. As he pondered about what to do, a figure rolled into view over the cracked black floor of purple outlines. It was Rob, or rather, the ancient minister wearing his clothes. The robot was alone with the biggest threat the universe faced, but there was complete and absolute trust between the two of them. The ancient minister looked up at his boss. "Lord Taboo," he began, "what is your next course of action?" Taboo remained silent for a few minutes until he spoke. "My next course of action is to mobilize the army beyond this realm," he said. "We managed to seize the land down below, even though I was weakened in this big battle." The minister looked down. "It is going to take you a lot of time before your powers are back, right?" he asked. "Sadly, that is the case," Taboo said, nodding, his body glitching a bit. "But until then, no one can reach us. It is dangerous for anybody to enter this place knowing that I rule it. I will muster up my power to create an ideal place for our base of operations. You, however, will be in charge of the outside world." The minister looked up and nodded. "Yes, I will gladly reassume control over the facility," he said. "Just give the word and we shall move out." "I had my eyes on the other worlds," Taboo said. "The worlds that those accursed smashers come from. I wish to conquer them all before they even have a chance to reunite and assemble their force," he explained. "Once we have gathered enough worlds, we shall move on and conquer the biggest one there is." "What?" the minister said. "Oh, you mean the rumored real world?" "Yes, you catch on very fast," Taboo said. "It is the real world that is the real prize behind the entire war. Those fools do not even know about the real world existing, but they are missing the big picture." He turned around. "Ancient Minister, begin preparations to invade one of their worlds. The facility is slowly being taken out from the subspace. I want a subspace bomb to be deployed in Ness's world." The minister nodded and turned around, moving away from his boss. "It shall be done," he said as he vanished in the darkness. "And so begins my long struggle to work with this person once more," the ancient minister thought to himself. "This isn't the time to rebel again. I need to find the right time. The Gathering saga begins. Real world. Chris's house, living room. March 9, Sunday morning. Behind the scenes of the big war in another entirely different universe. The real world was safe from getting into a big fight of epic proportions. Life continued its pacific time of peace. However, today, however, was a time of rejoicing. A particular teenager with a big secret hidden inside the walls of his semi-luxurious house entered his home, carrying a bag holding a game he purchased that very same day. It was the release date of the game Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and he was greatly looking forward to playing it along with a very special person who took residence in his house half a year ago. He had paid the reservation in full as soon as the announcement came to the internet and the general media. Sighing, the teen smiled to himself and looked around his house, trying to find a special guest. Hello, I'm Chris. I'm a 16-year-old teen. You're getting this so far, right? Okay, I'm just making sure. I'm a 16-year-old. I have short black hair, and you could say that I look Hispanic due to the color of my skin. Truth is, I am Hispanic, but yet I live in the U.S., specifically Los Angeles, California, in a house where I rule by my lonesome due to some rather unfortunate decisions I've done in the past. Well, not exactly alone. I have someone special here who has taken me out from my horrible curse of solitude. That someone is really, really special because he's not a person you'd expect to find here around the city, or for that matter, in the entire world itself. Let's talk about me before you decide to hog that person, okay? Firstly, let me tell you this. I'm an honor high school student who manages to keep a balanced life with studying and playing video games. I'm a huge video game fanatic, but I look beyond video games. By that, I mean that I care about the love and effort put into every single game I have ever bought. I enjoy the story and the characters besides the gameplay. In fact, I learned so much about the values shown in some games that inspire me to find something good in real life. As you can tell, I'm a high school student with an everlasting dream to discover what I'm good at. And that's basically it about me. I'm an ordinary high school student living a pretty particular life due to that person I mentioned to you. The teenager couldn't find the person in his house. Looking around, Chris shouted, "Lucario! I'm home!" On the second floor of the house, a figure entered through the terrace's entrance. His black feet touched the white tiles on the floor. A deep, gruff voice then said, "I'm up here, Chris." Hearing the sound of footsteps rushing in, the person saw the teen coming from the stairs, all the while flashing a small smile as he carried with him the game he had bought. If the situation had taken place half a year ago, Chris would have screamed at the sight of a Lucario in his house. Alas, this was not the case anymore. That special person I mentioned is a Lucario. The teen and the Pokemon approached each other, and the first looked up at the towering Pokemon looking down at him with a smile. And he's beyond special in many ways than one. First things first. You're surely wondering how a Lucario like this one appeared in this world. Well, I have no idea how it happened back then, but at the start of summer vacations during a rainy night, a lightning bolt struck by DS down, and from it, Lucario's Pokeball came out. It accidentally opened up, and he appeared, sprawled over the floor because he had a fever. When I saw him the first time, I was at a complete loss of words, and I feared that he would rip me apart. Luckily, doing the right decisions led me to become acquainted with him. It was a long struggle for me to get him to like me. He was a very oblivious Pokemon who knew almost nothing about life. Fortunately, this Lucario can use telepathy to talk. but he can actually speak with his mouth just fine. It doesn't mean he knows how to read, though. During the past many days in the past, during many days in the past, I took it upon myself to look after him by teaching Lucario how to live life while we tried to find a way back to his home. We had lots of fun moments together. I vividly remember his first shower and his first steak. But still, he longed for his dream to reunite with his real trainer. When the day he was debating himself what to do about his issue that was being stuck in this world, I cried out. And after a while, he turned around and he also cried. Without warning, he embraced me and yelled out, "I don't want to leave you like this. You are my real trainer." And ever since that fateful day, my solitary life changed for the better. I was a teen whose parents worked away from home to assist important corporations with revolutionary ideas. I didn't know much about what they do, but they're almost never at home. That made things easier for me to raise a special Lucario as my loyal Pokemon. You see, this Lucario is not normal. He's a 6', 7" tall Lucario. I'm just 5'5". My head only reaches the numerous weapons that was his chest spike. "Oh no," Chris said as he accidentally let go of the bag, slipping down the white couch. Lucario merely stared at the direction the item slipped down into. He bent down a bit and lifted the couch with a single hand. The couch was heavy to carry for 2 people. But the Lucario didn't struggle a single bit. "There it is," Lucario said, looking at the bag. And this Lucario just so happens to have Herculean strength. For reasons unknown, he is surely my world's strongest being there is. Mundane tasks such as cutting down logs with an axe and do some furniture redecoration were easily taken care of with a single hand of his. Despite having the strength of obliterating my house in a single punch, I don't even know if he can do that much, but do you want me to find out? Fat chance. He's an incredibly likable person. He just doesn't have the strength of 1,000 men. He's really got a tough body of steel under a coat of fluffy blue and yellow fur. Yes, I said fluffy. Don't you look weird at me. I remember how a brick fell on top of his head from the 3rd floor's roof to the garden house. And he just kept staring at me. Well, that brick broke apart the moment it landed on his head. Morbidly enough, we were talking that day, and he didn't stop when said brick fell on him. He just kept talking and rubbed the dust on his head. On top of that, Lucario knows 4 moves: Force Palm, Extreme Speed, Double Team, and the ever so devastating Aura Sphere. Coupled up with his almighty strength, these moves became, what's the word? Broken. Force Palm released a rather small blow, but just you wait until that thing goes off. It looked pretty small, yet its intensity was deadly. A tree would have shattered into pieces. And then there was the Aura Sphere. If he wanted, he could make some monstrously big Aura Spheres and charge them in 2 seconds flat. In a world where there are no Pokemon in battles, Lucario had no choice but to enjoy life with me. We never complained, though. We absolutely enjoy every single second of our time together. Oh, did I mention he was a gamer? I taught him how to be one, and today, we were going to waste away our time playing Brawl. That's about it. Chris sighed and went to pick up that bag. Once stepping out from the couch's shadow, the teen saw the towering Lucario putting the couch back down to the floor. He looked at his trainer. "Did you find it?" Lucario asked. Chris then took out the item from the bag and placed the game in front of him. "Yep, I got it," he smiled. "Now we can play it." "Oh God. We have to do it now before the show starts later," he said. "I'm so excited to play this with you." Lucario nodded and looked at the game. Since you're this excited